Yes. And, I think that's different now. Catholic got that win last year, and they know they can handle them. It's good to see Catholic coming out and playing aggressively.
It's interesting. That ball should be spotted.
Yeah, it was kicked. That's
yeah,
a good point,
that ball
Parker.
should be spotted about 5. That should be around the 45-yard line of Anderson County.
Yeah, and
I think they might be figuring that out right now, Parker. That's a good point. That the Anderson County player kicked the ball as he was running downfield, and it looked like it.
Looks like he lost where the ball was and just ran around underneath it.
Yeah. I guess on the road, you don't always expect to get those calls.
So.
I've noticed through this game so far that the officials are really doing a good job of letting the boys play. A lot of refs so far this year have been calling a lot of penalties, kind of getting whistle happy a little bit. These refs aren't doing that. They're really letting the boys play, and it's kind of nice to see it for once.
Right there, going back to conditions, you saw Chase right back for that pass right there. Take his hick step, about to release the ball, and his back foot just let go. That as a quarterback will mess with your head a little bit because now he's going to be thinking about that throughout the game. Is my foot going to set? Am I going to go sliding? So that's going to mess with his confidence a little bit.
You're right, and with this lead right here, I don't think they're going to pass the ball a whole lot. Nice run.
And, that's something we didn't see a lot. Chase Kirshen, normally a receiver, came into the backfield on the motion and took that handoff up the middle. You got to wonder if that's something we'll see more of, in the weeks to come. It seemed to work on that play. They gained about 7 yards.
Chase is just such a great athlete. He's like Julio Jones, and Atlanta's having such a great year because they're being so creative, Kyle Shanahan is, in finding ways to get him the ball, and that's what you want to do with an athlete like Chase Kirshen. Nice pass from Cunningham.
I believe that was the Counts, and he'll get just enough for the first down. Good job of knowing where the sticks were and getting there.
Counts is a tough kid. I really like him. You're seeing him get better and better every week, and I think he's a kid that gets lathered up as the game goes along, and it's going to be more effective the more time he plays.
Yeah, I agree with you, Howie. I don't see any reason for us to be throwing the ball here, giving us any chances to make any silly mistakes. So I expect Coach Masters to run the ball a lot. I guess I was wrong. Chase going to throw deep.
He's wide open. And it was just out of bounds.
Well, I definitely called that one wrong. Amari was wide open. Got easy touchdowns. Take your easy touchdowns.
And, throughout the week, talking to other players especially, they said that they really made it a priority this week in practice to really get the ball in Amari and Chase's hands any way they could and let them make plays. I feel like our offensive line's playing pretty well this year. Get the ball to your playmakers and let them do something with it.
I agree. It looked like there Amari wasn't quite aware of where the sideline was. Here's Hunter Counts. He's got a crease. Nice stiff arm. He's still up.
And a nice hard run down to about 8-yard line. You were talking about Hunter Counts. You say he's a very tough kid. You really liked him. I don't think I've seen probably as tough a run as that in a while, especially this year.
I agree. After the Central game, we were kind of questioning, does this team have some fight? Do they have the toughness that they need? And talking to Coach Matthews this week, I think the team is starting to gel. You're starting to see the kids stuff. Here's Hunter Counts. Looks like he's going to make the pylon. Touchdown, Catholic.
Hunter absolutely destroying that kid at the edge of the end zone.
Back on, Parker.
Yeah, go back to it. I love seeing that. I love seeing the intensity. And Hunter just absolutely destroyed him on the edge of the pylon right there.
You're right,
just
Parker.
walked it in.
You're right,
you can
Parker.
tell Hunter likes the contact.
And, I've got nothing wrong with speed players and players that are real shifty. But, sometimes it's just nice to see someone lower their shoulder and try to run over somebody. Going back to the Emmitt Smith, Eddie George type style of running.
I agree. With 7:20 to go in the second quarter, Catholic has taken control of this game, up 24-0. Right now, I just don't think Anderson County has any answers on offense or defense. Again, this is a well-coached football team. I know they're going to be talking to their guys, making adjustments. One thing I know about Anderson County, you know it about all their athletic programs, they are going to continue to fight and battle till the end.
And, I think part of the deal with our defense was throughout the first 5 or 6 games of the season, we were really, playing teams that were good on both parts of offense. They could run the ball and throw the ball. Special teams like Fulton and CPA and Central, they were really good at both areas of offense. And, Catholic really made it a priority to stop the run. They called a lot of blitzes, but it seemed like a lot of times when they called those blitzes, they had screen passes or short passes called right over top of the blitz. And, I think that's something we're seeing here with Anderson County. Not as good of a passing team as we've been playing, so it really gives Coach Greer a lot of liberties with those blitzes and letting the linebackers come through and make plays in the backfield.
I agree, Caleb. And as Coach Bush Jones says a lot, you want to see your team play complementary football. Tonight, the Irish are playing extremely well offensively, defensively, and on special teams. Again, right there, another touchback by Posabut. And you kind of take it for granted by Posabut, but that is a weapon right there.
And, they say that almost 90% of coaching is play calling. And, something's really clicking with the Irish today. They're playing with a lot more fire and intensity than they have, I think, through the first 6 games of the season so far this year.
I agree. And getting back to the point of talking to Coach Matthews, again, I think there, as you guys touched on, there has been a challenge with chemistry and the overall toughness of this football team. And I think they're starting to get tougher and they're starting to gel. And right now, in Tennessee high school football, you see teams that are hot in the first part of the season. They get some injuries and don't finish the season with the same momentum they started. Right now, with the schedule playing out for the last 4 games of the season, Catholic has a chance to run the table and start the playoffs as a team that nobody wants to play. They're going to be very, very dangerous if they can start the playoffs and be extremely healthy.
But the one thing about it is that the one thing about the playoffs, I think, is that it's going to be tough for Catholic. We've done it before. When we went on that semifinal playoff run, we played nearly all but one of those games at home. Away, we play only one game that year at home. It seems like Catholic, when they make the playoffs, which I think is very doable, all they got to do is beat Anderson County, Carter, Cloudland, and Union County, which I think is very doable. All those games are very winnable. And if they make the playoffs, so the only thing that's going to be tough on them is they're going to have to play away for their games, which really makes it a big disadvantage for Catholic in the playoffs. But, like I said, we've done it before, and we can do it again.
Right there, the receiver kind of had alligator arms. He was looking at the defender coming up. A nice pass by Howell on the 3rd and 10. Probably would have had the first down, but the receiver couldn't pull it down.
But, it kind of looked like the quarterback threw it right before he thought he should, and the receiver was expecting it to get there that soon. And you could see Austin Rowan, a guy we all talk about a lot, getting in the quarterback's face right there and making him throw it before he wanted to.
Also, if you can find me a player in the state of Tennessee that's willing to take a ball right in front of Amari Rogers running full speed at you, I'd really like to meet him.
Amari's going to field this one. If he can get by this first one, nice
and
play.
And they will throw a flag right there, I do have to say, I think that was a good call. I did see a block in the back right there. It wasn't much. It was just a little tiny push. It looked like maybe he was trying to hold up, but he did hit him in the back, so, they're going to call that penalty.
That one looked like Amari was almost horse-collared on that tackle. He came down awkwardly. He looks fine.
And, I think this might be the first time Anderson County's really flipped the field position and got Catholic in a bad position, which really they didn't do, but we did it to ourselves. But this could be one of those plays for Anderson County that really flips the momentum and might get them started with their offense a little bit and their defense.
Yeah, Caleb, I would say with the score right now, you're probably going to see the Irish get a little more conservative, or maybe not.
You got
to love it.
I hate I hate to say it, but that's something that they're dealing with at UT a little bit right now is some conservative play call in the second half. And, I think that's something they're going to have to figure it out. And I don't think Catholic wants to be like that. Coach Matthews always wants to try to put on as many points as possible, not run up the score or anything, but he wants to get a comfortable enough lead to where he thinks he doesn't have to worry, and then he'll start putting in other players, getting them experience.
Well, and that's why I like him. He's a gunslinger. He plays extremely aggressively.
Chase is going to try to get back to the line of scrimmage right there,
Right now, I'm like any Tennessee fan. It's been excruciating with those two big losses. But what I think a lot of people forget is we're dealing with a quarterback that really is not an effective passer. He had the great ball game. You look at Coach Jones at Cincinnati. He had Caleras, I believe was his last name, a quarterback that could really throw the ball. He had games where they threw the ball 40, 50 times. And, a couple plays go a little different in those games. UT's undefeated, top 15 in the nation, and Coach Jones is a genius.
You're exactly right. I mean, I think Dobbs could be a great quarterback. He just needs to work on his downfield accuracy a little bit, which seems to be what UT's struggling with right now, is being able to complete passes down the field, especially on third and long situations.
So that's going to be up fourth down for the Irish. We're going to see Jake come back out on the field to punt it away. Jake has a pretty good average so far this year, averaging close to 37 yards on his punts. He had one missed kick last week against Belfry, but basically besides that, he's had a pretty good average all year. We can expect him to, hopefully go somewhere big for school if that's what he wants to do. But Howie, you mentioning earlier, he is a state champion high jumper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he also has the opportunity to do that in college.
You're right.
As well.
Especially because from what I hear, last spring was just his first track season ever. So the sky's the limit.
And you see Jake let off a bomb right there. That was a pretty good kick.
It really did.
Field.
We got to give a shout out to the Anderson County field crew. The guys that take care of this field must do a tremendous job. Despite basically a week straight of rain, this turf seems pretty solid, pretty tight. We don't see a whole lot of slipping.
We see Austin Rowan make a vicious hit right there in the hole.
You like to see the defense flying around like that, despite the score here, 24-0.
That's one thing Coach Matthews preaches, and, I know Parker can attest to this too, is that he says just keep hitting them. Eventually they have to lay down. He said when you feel like you've gone as far as you can, push the pedal even more. I mean, put the pedal to the metal and just get them out of the game early. And then
Rowan again.
Another big hit by Austin. Austin is really in the zone right now.
And, going back to what Coach Matthews usually says, he always tells the starters, he says if you give about the first half and 2 or 3 minutes of the second half as hard as you can go, he said, I can get you out of the game. You can be sitting over there laughing on the sidelines watching the freshmen and sophomores play and having a good time.
I agree, Caleb. But you're looking right there. You guys talk about him a lot, but Austin Rowan has one speed, and that's full speed. I don't ever see him take a play off.
Oh, and right there we talked
Austin
about
Rowan
Austin
again.
Guess who?
And, we do talk a lot about him. We talk a lot about Augie. They're great players, but again, you have to give a lot of credit to the secondary and the other defensive linemen and linebackers. They do a great job too. Don't really get as much recognition as they deserve.
You're right. We've seen some teams try to pick on the other side of the defensive line and haven't been successful. If they were, they could pretty much just put all the plays on one half of the field and pretty much avoid Austin Rowan. 2 good punts in a row from the Anderson County punter, and let's see if the Irish will get a little luck, and they won't. Oh! The ball stopped.
And,
they almost got a little bit of
I don't really
luck.
know why he dove there. There was really no need. I mean, I don't think Amari was going to pick that one up. It was at the 1-yard line. At most, he probably would have got 3 or 4 yards and then would have had 11 guys in his face. So, really no reason to dive there. But I guess it looked cool.
Yeah. If the ball hadn't stopped, that would have been a touchback.
Catholic's going to take this drive, starting at the 2-yard line with 4:55 left in the game, up 24-0.
And if Catholic right
That's
here.
a safety. That's going to be a safety.
No, he was able to get out.
Second effort.
Back to the line of scrimmage.
Was that counts?
Yes, it was. And you talked about how tough he was. And
that was going to be a safety. He was stopped about 1.5 yards behind the goal line. Looked like by 3 Anderson County players.
And, if Catholic could go 99 yards here for a touchdown, you talk about demoralizing for this Anderson County defense. I think that could be the nail in the coffin for them. And Catholic could not necessarily let up, but they could have a little bit more fun, play calling wise, and, just get out there and laugh and have fun as a team.
That's going to bring up 3rd down. So we've got 3rd and 11 from about the 6-inch yard line. So, Howie, what do you think the smart play call is right here? Do you think we should go for that downfield pass, or do you think it's better to try to catch him off guard? Maybe do a little sweep around the left side, try to get it out in the open field.
Right now, I'm getting into the head of Coach Matthews. I think he's trying to show confidence in Chase Cunningham. Probably the more or the higher percentage call is just try to live for another day, make sure you don't get a safety or a big mistake or a pick six.
But if you can avoid the turnover right here, like you said earlier, with these field conditions, you never know, and that'd be bad for them to try and punt the ball and Jake just to either drop it because it's wet or the snap to go over his head or anything. Anything can happen when the conditions are like this. And you're at the 1 yard line, so if it goes behind you, chances are it's going to be a safety. So, I think, you tell Chase, if you see the pass open, throw it. If not, just throw it away, and then we'll punt. But, if I'm Coach Matthews, I'm telling Chase, try to get out of this if at all possible.
Yeah, and to take it further, thinking maybe what's in Coach Matthews' head, without getting overconfident, I think he sees the Irish dominating this game on both sides of the ball. I think he's coaching this team thinking about the future, getting Chase more experience. Again, it's a wet field. It's adverse conditions. We don't have the best running game. We all know that. The higher percentage call, if you're going to get a first down, is a pass play. I don't think he's so much worried about making a mistake right here. There's Amari.
Oh,
looks like pass interference. Wow.
Wow.
Boy,
number 4 almost tackled him, but hey, you don't always get those calls on the road.
Something I've noticed, and I'm not trying to, accuse the refs of anything, but sometimes when you get up on a team a little bit, sometimes you got to think that maybe the referees let some of them go, try to make it a little bit more fair and not give one team another advantage.
You can't help but think that sometimes. You can't help but think it when you're on the road like this. More times than not, the flags don't go your way. And probably not the best punt by Posa, but again, he's backed up in the end zone.
And
close to a 30-yard punt with no return. We'll take it.
Going back to not getting the calls, a lot of people complained about that with Duke basketball. People hated to go to Cameron Indoor, and it's not just that Duke's a great basketball team, which they are. They're always in the top 10 almost every year. But, teams always seem to complain about the calling going Duke's way a lot of times. So, you're right. It doesn't always go your way, especially when you're on the road.
And a lot of times
we'll take it, right here, 1st and 10. Good field position. They're going to get an opening on the outside. They're going to take that ball around the 15-yard line.
And, I know that was the first
down. That was
down.
Brock on the carry right there, rumbling, picking up those yards after contact.
And, I know that was a big play right there, a first down. But you can see Austin Rowan do something really good down here. And, I'm not trying to make him bigger than what he is. But you could really see him. He knew the running back didn't have the ball, but he still tackled him. He didn't get lost with all that going on in the backfield with the option and try to run away from it.
There you see Phillips breaking some tackles right there.
And, the one time he wouldn't tackle that running back, that'd be who had the ball, and they could break it up the middle. So, a great job by him. And he can show these younger defensive linemen that, hey, even if he doesn't have the ball, you always have to hit him, make them not want to hand the ball off to him.
Phillips, I talked to their coach today, and Phillips and some of these younger players are coming out of a middle school program that's been a championship program. They were so good, they were kicked out of their league. dominating opponents. They actually took their team and won an all-star game with just their team, beat a Georgia all-star team and a Kentucky all-star team. So you're looking at a team that's got some freshmen and sophomores on the field that are tremendous football players.
And great job right there by Jones Albritton. You know, got his hands on him first, and then Augie Fortune came in and cleaned up the play. But great job by Jones staying home, you know, not jetting inside when he saw that fake handoff. And, you know, he has quarterback. He knows he's got quarterback assignment football. Great play right there on the defensive side of the ball.
I agree, Caleb. You really like the effort of Catholic right now. You're seeing this team develop a lot more of an identity on defense.
And, you know, that's one thing Coach Greer said last week about Summit football, and I think Catholic maybe got away from that a little bit. You know, you could see some outside linebackers dart into the middle. They thought the running back had the ball instead of keeping on the quarterback or the pitch man. It seemed like Belfry made a living off those outside runs with the quarterback and with the running back, and it's good to see Catholic being able to stop it now.
The one thing you don't want to do right before the half is give them a boost of energy and momentum to think they're in this ball game right now, because right now this really doesn't feel like a ball game.
You know, we are seeing a little bit of explosiveness out of this Mavericks team. You know, like you said earlier, you can never expect them to give up and lay down. And you know, I don't expect to see that tonight, senior night. You know, these kids' last home game as a senior. You know, they're gonna want to show up for their family. You know, for their girls. You know.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Nobody wants to get beat on senior night.
No doubt.
Certainly know that these Anderson County seniors aren't gonna let that happen easily.
In talking to Coach Gillum, Tate Holmes is a kid that comes to school at 5:30. He works out before other kids are even at school. He's a guy that after football practice will go to the wrestling mat, get a wrestling workout in. So you know number 13 is not a kid that's gonna let his offense quit.
And they'll pitch it, and this is what Catholic struggled with last week, and
Brock's
it looks like
got a
they'll
crease.
struggle with it again.
He drops the ball.
But he recovers it in the
end zone for a touchdown. You know, Anderson County got lucky there. It looked like he dropped it about the 1 yard line. That could have been a situation that the University of Tennessee ran into when they were playing Georgia 2 years ago, where they dropped the ball at the 1 yard line that went out the side of the end zone, which ended up being a touchback for Georgia, and Tennessee lost the game on that play. So Anderson County, I think, really got away with one right there.
Well, you know, right there you see that it took about 4 or 5 possessions before they really attacked the edge against Catholic. And right now, especially with some kids like Jeff Woods still out, I think that's the weakness of the Catholic defense, is out on the edge.
You know, but I do have to say, you do have to give this defense a little bit of slack on that. You know, they had poor field position to work with, you know, with us being backed up in the end zone, having to punt. You know, having to punt it quick, not the best punt in the world. But Anderson County, you know, great drive anyways, but you do have to give the defense a little bit of slack for the poor field position.
You're right, Caleb.
So right now, 2:10 left in this first half. Catholic up 24-7 over the Mavericks. You know, talking a little bit about the punting game early, you know, you were saying, is it smart for Amari to be receiving some of these balls? And you know, to be honest, I think he's been a little bit tentative up to this point in the year. You know, I've seen a couple of balls he's let go, and it's just like, you know, when you're the fastest player on the field, you expect him to pick those up, you know?
I agree, and I think as he's had more success, you know, something we forget, I think he had a birthday recently, but basically first 3 or 4 games into the year, he's still 15 years old. You know, he looks like he could be a college football player. Here we go, an onside kick.
And, you know, that's a very interesting call by Anderson County right there. You know, you're still in the first half, only down by 3 scores. But, you know, another thing I thought was interesting, I don't know if you guys noticed back here, but only Amari was back deep. They usually have him and Jeffrey or him and Chase, but it looks like they've elected just to put him back deep and bring an extra blocker up towards the line on that kick return right there, maybe trying to see if they could break one with an extra blocker.
Here's Hunter Counts.
And, you know, I believe that's the 4th or 5th time they've run that screen in just the first half, and it's really worked well for them. I don't think I've seen it go for less than 8 yards maybe.
Yeah, and we're seeing a trend here. Hunter counts in space. He rarely is tackled by the first or the second guy. Bounces off 3 or 4 Anderson County tacklers before he's finally brought down.
You know, that really speaks volumes about how tough he is, because he's not doing it by being shifty or really juking players out. He's basically just running through people. He's lowering his shoulder, and it's taking 2 or 3 Anderson County defenders at a time to bring him down.
He's definitely a north and south kid. You do notice when he changes directions, though, he doesn't really slow down. That's something that's a real talent. And he's got a nice stiff arm. He's got an angry stiff arm.
And a big penalty right there for the Irish. You know, Parker, you talked about it earlier with me before the game. You said you thought that Catholic needed to avoid penalties that negated big plays. Like that last one, you know, it went for about 15, 20 yards, and then a penalty negates it. You know, it's gotten better, but do you still think they're where they need to be?
There's always room for improvement. You know, there's never a team that comes out and is 100% perfect every day. But, you know, so far this game, they really haven't made any stupid mistakes. There have not been any bad penalties so far. You know, right there, you know, that's a 15-yard gain that's getting brought back. But at least it's not like the Fulton game where we had a touchdown, 2 touchdowns
and, you
brought
know,
back. So
another player that we haven't talked about a lot, but you probably need to watch out for is DJ Mitchell out here down to the wide side of the field down here. You know, a very quick guy, can get behind the defense. Had a big, I think, 60, 65-yard catch versus Morristown East in the season opener. You know, he can do some damage even though he's not the biggest receiver in the world.
That's a first down.
As Chase Kirshen, you know, I don't know of many players that Chase Kirshen can't catch the ball against, many defensive backs. You know, I can count on my one hand the times I've seen him drop a pass, even in practice. You know, he doesn't even take off in practice. He always catches almost everything that's thrown at him. If he can get his fingertips on it, it's coming in.
You see Chase get some pressure there, just deciding to throw it away. You know, I think that was a smart play there. You know, nobody was there. There's no reason in trying to make something spectacular. You know, you got a nice, comfortable lead right now. So at that point, just throw the ball away.
You're right, Parker, and that's something me and Howie had been talking about throughout the season. Was, you know, Chase maturing a little bit. You know, having a couple of starts that, you know, he's making some decisions that, you know, we thought was learning. You know, you need to learn from some mistakes he made.
Right
and he's really done a good job of that.
Again, you're right, Caleb, and that play right there, some of his biggest mistakes was when the pressure came up the middle. Right there, throwing that ball at one of his running back's feet with a lot of pressure. I don't think he would have done that in the first couple games.
And it looks like maybe
confusion.
Chase, well, they're both Chase, but one of them, either it was a wrong route or Chase Cunningham thought he was running a different route. Something was just off on that play.
I agree.
And, you know, the Anderson County defense making a stop right here. You know, they may be trying to make a comeback right here. I mean, they got plenty of time.
They really do. The good news for Catholic, minus an unexpected big play, the Anderson County offense is really not built to go the length of the field in a minute. They really don't have a 2-minute offense.
You'll notice right there, Jake holding the ball a little bit differently on his punch. You know, I kicked for several years, and anytime you get around the 50-yard line when the ball's being snapped, you want to hold the ball just a little bit differently, try to get that spinning over in and in, so when it lands, you know, they aren't taking the ball, it'll just hit where it is. So Catholic will take over on defense. I mean, be first and 10 Anderson County at their own 15-yard line. 56 seconds left to go. Catholic leads 24-7. Caleb, what do you think this drive means to Anderson County?
You know, I think this basically is momentum. That's what they're looking for right here.
And this is what they don't want. Amari Rogers with the pick. This could go back to the house.
Amari's got some blockers, but he'll turn, and
it's
it will go back to the house.
If there's no penalties on the play, that's what I was about to say.
There are no flags.
Guys,
I don't see any cleats flying either, so.
As the Anderson County coach, you had to be thinking there, we're not built to pass the ball. Right there, they got momentum offensively. They got momentum with a defensive stop. I really think that was a mistake right there. putting the quarterback in a position where he could make a big mistake. I really think this is another momentum shift for Catholic. And this has to be demoralizing for Anderson County.
You're right. In Anderson County, I think they'd have been better off running the ball. Even if they didn't score before halftime, if they could get a good drive going and get on the other side of the 50 before halftime, that'd have been, some momentum, though, to swing their way. They'd say, we ran out of time, but we had a lot of good things going on in that second quarter, at the end of the quarter, and especially on that last drive, stuff we can build on. But, that just gives even more confidence to Catholic going into halftime,
Right. In defense of the Anderson County coach, the way their offense is built, they're not built to score quickly, so you're only going to have so many more possessions left in the game. But that's the number one thing you didn't want with that possession.
And with 41.6 seconds left in the first half, Catholic leads 31-7 over the Mavericks of Anderson County. Parker, what have you seen so far through this first half that has really been different this week than in previous weeks that you think has really made the difference in the way this Catholic team has come out playing?
Just seems that Cal has more intensity tonight. Coach Matthews, even though it might not necessarily be the case, has told us, win or die. At this point, we have no choice but to win out if we want to make the playoffs. And although we could probably lose one of these last 4 games and maybe still find a way to sneak in there, the mindset around the team is that it's now win or die. And I definitely think the seniors on this team don't want to see that happen, having gone to the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. We see actually Jake come up a little bit short right there. Very uncharacteristic for him. Anderson County's going to bring it out. Looks like he's going to get bottled up around the 16-yard line. The flag flown in.
Parker, you were talking about the remaining schedule, and you think we need to win out from here to really, know for sure we're going to be in the playoffs. Howie, what do you think is the biggest game upcoming for Catholic after Anderson County? You don't really want to look at weeks ahead, but with Catholic having this one in hand going into halftime, what do you think is the next game that we should be looking forward to that's going to be a big matchup?
I think the toughest game left on the schedule definitely is Carter. Carter's a team that almost beat Central. Again, in the beginning of the year, Carter was definitely favored against Central. Catholic was favored against Central. Central is a tough, up-and-coming football team. Seeing the games that I've seen, other than one game this year, I think we can obviously say Central's the one game with injuries and with the kids being out of school, whether you want to call it an excuse or not. I think it's the one game where Catholic kind of laid an egg. The wheels fell off. I think Catholic would enjoy seeing Central in the playoffs. But I think Carter's a tough program. I definitely think Catholic will be favored in that game, but that's the one of the remaining games that I think will be the toughest.
And, like you said, going back into the Central game, you never want to lose football games, but I think most of this Catholic crowd and this fan base could live with 3-4 knowing that, or live with 3-3 knowing that the 3 teams they lost to were state championship football teams. And they played Fulton close. And, that's a big thing for me because that shows us we can play with Fulton. Now we got Chase back. We'll have some more injured players back by then, have some more depth. And you're able to play with them. And it's hard for a team to beat you twice in 1 year unless they're just like Maryville and 10 times better than all the teams they play. So I think that'll actually be an advantage for Catholic knowing they can play with them going in the playoffs.
All right, so that's going to end it for the first half of the Irish. Anderson County going to run the ball. That's going to take us to halftime. We'll be back after the break. This is the Irish Streaming Network presented by Smith Belt Homes. We'll see you in a minute.